Let me check the settings a little bit more before starting. Okay, everything looks fine. Yeah, so hi everyone. This is my first stream for the NGD, the Nordic God Dojo, so it's quite exciting. Today our topic is Endgame, as you already saw, and we will cover some topics about Endgame. Endgame is a very broad topic, I would say. There is counting territory, counting value of moves, right? Endgame Tesuji, macro endgame, micro endgame, and so on. So we will not talk about everything. I got a comment that the volume is a bit low currently. Let me try to fix that. So on my streaming, it looks like my volume is at max, but maybe I should be closer to the microphone. Is it better now? Yes? Okay, so I will just be closer to the microphone. Okay. So as I was saying, Endgame. What is Endgame? Actually, a very nice technical definition that I found in a book called The Endgame by Tomoko Ogawa says that the endgame is the small-scale stage of the game of Go, right? But nevertheless, it is quite an essential part of the game. As an introduction, I can tell you guys a small story. So during my study in China, I got to believe actually that endgame is the most important part of the game at some point. So as a European, it makes a lot of sense to think like this, because it is quite true that we do not properly study Tsumego or endgame that much, and on the European scene. So while I was taking a solid lead of over 10 points very often in many of my games, I was easily losing in late middle game and endgame. And that's how I started to really enjoy solving endgame problems. First, because it was serious improvement in my Go, and secondly, because if you think about it, endgame problems are the equivalent of Tesuji Tsumegos, but so you can solve those Tsumegos while actually trying to win a game, right? You're trying to win a game. For those who have never seen how an endgame problem looks like, I will quickly show you some example. Yeah, today we will be on 9x9 all the time. Yeah, it looks something like this. And you know, okay, it is black to move, and black should win the game by half a point. So you have to play all moves the best. Okay. Now, let's see, what else do I have to say? I think that's it for the introduction. Today we will go through a few endgame problems, and the focus will be mainly on Sente. So as a matter of fact, this lesson could have also be called something like the magic of Sente in endgame, or something like that. Okay. Good. Okay, so the sound is now good. Let's get into it. Before we look into these examples of actual endgame problems, I thought it's good to revise a bit the basics of endgame, how to count and so on. So let's go into it. This is the very first example. We all know that these moves are 2 points moves, right? Oh, sorry, my bad. So this is okay. So this is a 2 points move, and also this other one is a 2 points move. But how do we count these areas when nobody plays? And it is actually also mathematically correct to say that white has 1 point in this type of area here, right? If white plays, he makes 2 points. If black plays there, then white makes 0 points. So on average, white has 1 point here. So in the upper left corner, it's exactly the same. To kind of also prove this point, so if in this position we are saying that white has 1 point here in the middle and 1 point in the corner, then he should in any case get 2 points, right? No matter whether it's white's turn or black's turn. And that's always going to be the case, right? If, let's say it's black's turn, right? Black will connect 1 stone and you will capture another. So you end up with the 2 points that were promised, so to say. Okay. So this is the very first thing. This is the same, right? we capture, this is a 4 points move. And also very important, there is this type of concept of how to call it, equivalence in the value of a move when black plays or when white plays. So if we say this is a 4 point move for white, it will always be a 4 points move for black as well when black plays there. Now I also made this example here because some students of mine sometimes forgot that there's quite a difference if black has a stone here or not. Okay, so when there's just this type of position, then this is a 1 point move, and white locally there has about half a point, right? He either makes 1 point or 0 points. And this is relevant because in the next example, we will see something a bit more complex. Okay, so these type of situations. Wait, let me also look at the chat once in a while. Okay, yeah, hello everyone. I actually didn't say hello at the beginning. Welcome everyone. And someone says that so far the content sounds like a primer of a rational endgame. Aha, it is Antti. Okay, I have been told it is Antti. Hi Antti. Yeah, it is actually, I took my material mostly from a book. I do not remember, I think it's called, how is it called? Give me one moment. I can tell you in 1 second. It is called Get Strong at Endgame by Richard Bozulik. And I took, well, many of the examples I created myself, but many I really like from that book. So just as a reference, I guess. It's important. And, okay. Yeah, so this position, what about this? How to calculate, with the knowledge we already have, the value of this type of move? So we already know that when white plays here, black has half a point, right? So white destroyed not all the points that black has, but yeah, not all of them. What happens when black plays here? He gets 4 points, right? 2 points and another 2 points. But because he already had half a point, we cannot really say this move is worth 4 points, can we? So this move is worth 3.5 points. Yeah, so I can imagine that many of the people watching have sometimes heard some higher dan levels talking about endgame and saying stuff such as, this move is worth 1 point and 3/4 or stuff like this. In fact, these things are not so complicated. Everything starts from the examples I just showed. And so if black already has half a point here, right? And this move is 3.5 points, right? Then how many points does black have when nobody plays anything? How many points do we count here? So half a point is secured, right? And we divide the amount that he is making if he plays there by 2, just like we did before, right? So by playing there, black makes 3.5 points. It means he has there 1 point and 3/4, right? I hope I'm not wrong. So 1 point and 3/4 black has there, plus the half a point, which makes a total of 2 points and 1/4. So you see, actually, you can juggle quite easily with these quarters, and it makes it not so complicated to calculate the quite precise value of this type of endgame. So Antti says that 5/6 is still involved in a relatively common shape. Yeah. Yes. Anyways, there are a lot of examples. So yeah, in this example, we don't have 6ths yet, but let's see. Okay. I am actually waiting for questions because I'm not sure. Maybe some of you don't really understand yet why this is 2 points and 1/4 value here. Like, why does black have at this moment of the game 2 points and 1/4 of points? Yeah, think about that for yourselves. I will anyways move on to the next example. And let's see. Okay. Yeah, so far We have talked about moves that one plays and the value of those moves. How to say? In one's territory, right? So it was before in the examples. Let me just hover again here quickly. It was just about black's points here, right? Or if we look in the lower left corner, this is just white's points, right? So when we connect, and this is a 9 points move. It's quite clear. Now, what about this example, right? We all know that the Hane on the first line is a 2 points move. But why is that so? We don't destroy 2 points. It's not obvious that we capture a stone or so, but in this case, we make 1 point of territory while destroying another one, right? So we add these points together, and that's what makes the value of the move that we just played. And very similarly, we have to calculate most of the endgame moves, in fact, because most of the endgame moves are not just capturing something. Yeah, they are mostly, I get something and I take something away from you at the same time. So, yeah, let's see. What about the upper left corner? There is actually a good move, which creates a snapback, the move at b9. And this move destroys all the points of blacks in that corner, first of all, right? Black cannot do anything. Yeah. How many points does white destroy? So if black would have played there, he would have made 4 points of territory. And if white plays there, white also makes 4 points of territory, capturing 2 stones. So very similarly to how we calculate these points on the bottom, the conclusion is that this type of move, right, or this type of move makes 4 plus 4 points, which is 8 points in total. So this move is actually the same value as this move in the corner at J8. So if this would be a real game, then white could just as well not bother to play any of the big 8 points move and just Hane here. Yeah, and then whoever takes one of the 8 point move, yeah, the other one will take the other, and that's that. It doesn't necessarily mean this move is better, right? If white plays here, black will anyways not Hane because it's a gote move. So yeah, anyways, white will be the one who takes it in the end. Okay, very good. This is already good to go through these examples. Okay, these are just some more examples of double gote moves. Okay, actually I can, maybe now it's a good time to go into what a double gote move is, right? So everything we are talking about so far is in the area of double gote moves. A move that is gote both for white as it is for black. Yeah, so there's no need to answer after a move is played. Yeah, and actually this is the most important thing that I'm trying to get to, right? We are trying to get to sente moves, because these are the ones that really make the difference. So actually, while I was preparing this lesson, I was also talking with Victor, and he asked me, how do you define a sente move, right? What is a sente move? And it was an interesting question, but I quite quickly answered, okay, it is a move that creates a continuation, which is the biggest move on the board at the moment, right? So you play a move, and the opponent has to answer because it is the biggest move on the board. If it is not the biggest move on the board, then it is not a sente move. So yeah, I guess that's how I would define it. And here we have a clear example of some sente situation. So if white hand is on the first line, it is sente, and he makes locally, right? He makes 4 points. So let's also mark these 4 points. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Just as before, we make 2 points and we take 2 points from our opponent. So that's that. And this point, this move in the corner at the J4, it values more, right? It values 6 points. But it is a gote move. It is gote for white and it is gote for black as well. So yeah, this is where in our games, we should be very careful to not miss the sente moves first, to not be tempted. Of course, this is a very simple case scenario, but on a 19 by 19 board, when we have tens of such moves, it is quite easy to miss something. And yeah, first the center move, and then we play the Goten move. And this one on the left is actually even more than just a center move, right? A center move maybe would have been if white already had a stone there. This is a center move that white should play, and yeah, this is what we have here on the left without any stone at b3 is a double center move, I would call it, right? It is center both for white and for black, and that's why its importance actually increases tremendously. I've even heard some players saying that when you have such double center moves on the board, they are worth an infinite, simply because they shouldn't happen, right? Yeah, they appear quite rarely. There must be a huge fight happening when the life of two big groups are at stake, and after everything is settled, maybe such a move is left, you know, as a leftover of the fight, so to say. But other than that, this type of double center, they never stay on the board. Someone plays it immediately, and it's very precious, so never miss those. Yeah, but we don't only have double center moves and double Goten moves, right? There's also just simply center moves, as I said, like as if white had a stone here. And I prepared an example for that. One moment. Where was it? Here. Yeah, so there are some case scenarios in which playing a reverse center moves is also extremely important, right? So when we look on this board, we have this move, a reverse center move, very importantly, is not center. It is a reverse center, right? So it is not center for us, but it prevents our opponent from playing his own center move. And a6 at the moment values just 3 points for white. 1, 2, 3. The value of this move is smaller than both other moves that are at the moment on the board, right? This, when we play at A, that value is 4 points. When we play at J5, at B, that's 6 points. But nevertheless, it is the right way to play the reverse center first. So let's imagine we first capture the biggest move, the 6 points move. Okay, we have 6 points in the pocket, but black will immediately afterwards get 3 points by playing the center and plus another 4 points. So black is better off by 1 point in total, right? 3 plus 4 is 7, and we took only 6 points. And we could prevent this very easily by playing the reverse center move first. So we first take 3 points in our pocket, we have it, and then no matter what black plays, okay, well, obviously he will play the bigger move, we will be the ones better off, because now we took 7 points and our opponent only 6. So yeah, these type of things can make all the difference in your own games, and yeah, it's quite important to first. I would order these moves as priority number 1, double center moves. Priority number 2, of course, our own center, right? So we first put our center moves before playing the reverse center, of course, and yeah, and then after the reverse center comes the double Goten, I would say, most of the time. So if you actually just follow this rule, but actually I will talk about it later. I made a list of golden rules about endgame, so let's leave that for later for now. Okay, yeah, the chat. I haven't looked at the chat for some time. Let's see. Victor. About 8s or less. I'm not so sure if I understand that comment, but it might be some inside joke or something, so I will go more. So there is a question actually. So the reverse center move is correct if its value is more than the difference between reverse center move is correct if the value is more than the difference between the two biggest Goten moves. Here 6 minus 4 smaller than 3, right? Yes, something like that. Yeah. So in general, if there is no double Goten move that is big enough to cover 2 moves of black, right? So let's go a bit back. We were having this example. right? So right now, the only move that would be better for white than playing the reverse cente would be a move that is bigger than two moves as black. One of the move is the cente move, which is worth 3 points, and the other move is whatever value. So if 3 points plus a move is smaller than another move, then we play that move. So I guess that's what you meant. Yes. Yeah, welcome everyone who is also joining. I see Stepan there. Okay, I actually know some people from here. That's nice. Yeah. Let's go on. Okay, yeah, this is a very brief example of why how cente can be very useful, right? So in this example, this very simple example, if white is careful enough and first pushes the cente, and then Han is on the first line, also cente, and only after that gets the double gote move, then yeah, if you count this game, white will win by half a point if the comm is 6.5 or something like that. Yeah. Okay. I think I underlined the most important things about the basics. So try your best. Okay, so after going through the very basics, I would underline 3 golden rules of Endgame. So the first one is to first look at double cente moves, then your own cente moves, right? Not necessarily double cente, and then the reverse cente moves, and then the big gote moves, double gote moves. And a second rule is I would advise anyone to try as much as they can to count the value of moves. It can be quite a burden sometimes to always do it, but you don't have to always do it. You know, just for example, at the beginning of Endgame, when we have the biggest moves, then you have to take a moment, because sometimes it might take just 1 minute of your time, but you might gain several game deciding points. And yeah, the third one, I will not say yet. The third golden rule, I will mention later. So yeah, let's go on. This is okay. Now we can do something together. I will let you guys think a little bit as well. And yeah, let's solve this endgame. Black to play. What is the best way to play this? This is actually the first problem of the collection I mentioned before. And I found it interesting. I also think it has a mistake, actually, but still, it is about cente, so it's on the right topic. I'm waiting for suggestions before saying myself. I will maybe mark the cente moves or the possible moves. We have A, we have B, we have C. These are 3. Oh wait, I'm sorry. It is black's turn, so yeah. At first sight, it looks like the 3 moves are all cente, right? So why bother and think which one? I'm sorry, which one to rather play? But yeah, at the second thought, it is quite important. There's at least one move that one should for sure not play. So let's see. Okay, I'm not gonna wait for a very long time, so I'm gonna wait for about 30 more seconds. And actually, I will also write in the chat the name of the book. Ah, yeah, Marcel even mentioned that they get stronger endgame. Yes, actually, while solving these endgame problems, I also noticed several mistakes myself. So, for example, even in this in this endgame problem, in the book, there's only one solution that is written as correct, but I believe there is 2. Yeah, but nevertheless, I would still agree that one move is simple, is the simplest. The other one might create some complications, and if you're in Byoyomi, yeah, it might not be the smartest thing to do. So let's see. Okay, no suggestions yet. Your time has run out. Actually, it is worth to think more about this problem, especially about the difference between A and B. Right? Because these are obviously, A and B are obviously the biggest sente moves. C is a fake sente, because after black plays here, white doesn't have to answer, in fact. White can hane here, and yeah, now black for sure has to do something. If black doesn't do something locally, then white will get another sente move, right? If black, let's say, continues at b8, first of all, this is also just as big as b8, but second of all, white can capture 2 stones in sente and then come back here, right? So white will get, in the end, 2 very, very big endgames in exchange for 1 stone at c. Yeah, so that would be probably the mistake, the trick in this problem. And then there's only A and B left to compare. And here I was thinking actually for some minutes. After B, I was considering, okay, what if white doesn't answer and plays also hane connect, right? This move has quite a big follow-up. I guess that's what this is all about. It creates complication. It creates the confusion for black. Oh, should I connect? Should I not? If I capture these 2 stones, then white will capture that. And what is bigger? Is it bigger what white gained here and also the points that he destroyed, maybe, than what I gained in the lower right corner? So there's all kind of questions. In the end, I came to the conclusion that white should, in fact, answer after J2. Right? So it is a bit bigger for black to capture the 2 stones in the lower right corner than what white is doing in the upper right. So I would say this problem has 2 solutions, both A and B. Yeah, both A and B. Exactly. Yeah, so the ultimate conclusion should be to go for the safest way of playing, right? So if we play A, this is a absolute sente, right? What can white do? If white plays something else, then white loses way too much in the upper side. And that's about it. After white answers, the problem is done. Yeah. Okay, so we have some question. Let's see. Someone says that endgame is a lot about counting points values. Yeah, definitely the strength and weaknesses of groups are quite important. Sometimes that is also the reason why you can get certain sente moves, right? You are forcing your opponent into defending when the situation is unclear. And yes, you generally do the right thing when knowing that the group in this position is not fully alive, especially after white plays g9, then yes, I agree. And then we have a question. Can I go over how to count the bottom right? Aha, okay. Is it that a challenge for me? Let's see. How to count the bottom right. Like, just to clarify, you mean to say in this position without anyone playing anything, how points white has in the corner? It's pretty difficult to not take into account that it's black's sente. And black will definitely play B in sente. So if I were to capture, it's just 5 points of territory, right? This is sente, and then this is sente. Oh, sorry. Not like that. This is sente atari. Yeah. Basically, the point of this endgame is black gets everything in sente. So I think there are other cases that are more interesting for me to answer in this type of question, to count. You know, there are some situations in which you play a gote move that has a sente continuation. So you play a move that doesn't have to be answered, but it has a sente follow-up. And the way you count usually is that you include the value of that follow-up in the initial value that you count of that gote move. Let me think of some example. Okay, maybe I can create an example on this board. So how to do it? Maybe I can simply do it like this. I can say, okay, black is alive here, and okay, you have to give me one moment. Or okay, you know what? I will actually just do a very simple case scenario. So let's see. When black has two stones that are connected to two stones that are connected to a very big group, right? So something like this. Right. Okay, and now let's put some black stones. Okay, and let's see. Let's also show. Sorry guys, it's taking me a little bit of time, but I hope it's worth it. Alright, so we connect. No, that's not what I wanted to show. Oh, damn it. Let's see. Like this, maybe. So, yep. Yes. This type of shape. Okay, yes. So, in this case scenario, let's also delete a stone from here maybe to make it more interesting and put white stone here. Yeah, so when we play here, this is a gote move, right? White doesn't have to answer it. Right, I wanted to put a white stone here. Yeah, white doesn't have to answer it. Actually, for white, there is quite a big move on the board right now. Here, right, at J8. So what does white do? Does white just connect at F4 or not? Right, and how do we count the value of this type of move that we just played at G5? Right, this move, first of all, it saves two stones. That's a sure value, and it destroys the point at F4. Right, so when black played at B, he saved two stones, that's 4 points, plus another point at F4, that's already 5 points of value. Now, the follow-up, which is Sente, because if white doesn't answer, black will connect also all the stones on the left. Values also quite a lot. Let's make it a bit more simple and put one more white stone here. Right, and if black plays here as well, then there's another, which is in Sente. This is another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. So if white finds it bigger to play the move at A, right, then black will get 5 points plus 6 points, 11 points of territory. Now, I'm not so sure if A is big enough to make the compromise. Maybe white will just answer anyways. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It is actually right on the edge. So if black plays there, black will make 1, 2, 3 points, and if white plays there, white makes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 points. Okay, so it's just 1 point short. Actually, it's quite a good example in that sense. So let's see if black didn't play there yet. So black plays here, he got 5 points, and now the follow-up is 6 points. If white defends, black gets another 10 points. Yeah, okay, I'm not sure if that was very clear. That's what happens when one improvises, but I guess, wait, let's see what happened in the chat. How about imagining the lower right corner is not Sente? Lower right corner, you mean in the previous example? I guess that comment is from some time ago. Let's go to that example. is not this one, but this one. Oops, I might have destroyed this example actually, but I can fix it quickly. What happened here? Wow. Disaster. Okay, wait a second, guys. I'm getting my branches mixed up. I think it's better if we move on, because I was trying to answer the last question and I couldn't follow the other comments. So yeah, I hope my example meant something, right? It's about a gote move that has a center follow-up. So we count the entire value of it. Maybe my example was not the best. Okay, now this is, what is this? Something happened actually to my SGF. All the moves, I think from one branch, all the moves. Okay. Okay. It might have been. Yeah, it might have been that I improvised at the very first. How to switch that now? Okay, I could actually reopen it. Maybe that would not be a bad idea. Let's see if that works. So you will see no board for a moment. I hope this works. Let's see. Okay. Let's see, Endgame 3. So what about now? Do you see the board? No board. Okay, then I will have to go here. Okay, I think I managed to fix it. Okay, good, great. So we can continue. All right. Okay, let's get past this example and go here. Now, this one is actually one of my favorite endgame problems to show to my students when we solve some endgame together, because it's a little bit tricky. So I'm gonna actually let you guys count a little bit. All the games on this board are gote, well, most of them. And that is actually what this is about, right? We can see, wait a second. A is gote, B is gote, C is gote. This one is also gote. It is actually black's turn, so also a little bit of Tesuji training actually in this problem, because black should find the best move on the bottom. If black simply jumps with something like F1, then white might make a ko. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. If black jumps, this is a ko, and white might still make a point. But black has a very good move here, which is F2. It's a bit funny looking move, but it works. It destroys all the 5 points of whites. Okay, so I'm gonna mark that as a move. Yeah, this is the type of gotcha problems. Yeah, that's very accurate, because it's yeah, I think I even showed this to some high done players, and they were telling me, what is this, go away, just play the biggest end game. And yeah, let's see. I don't know, what do you guys think? What should be the first move out of all of these moves for black? You can also count. I can actually even help you. So A is 5 points, B is 6 points actually, C is also 6 points, and D is also 5 points. Now F is 2 points, and E on the top, that's also a 2 points move, right? We've had that before. G is a 1 point center move for white, and it's a reverse 1 point center for black. Yeah, And I guess that's the big trick here, right? Because usually when you train the basics of Endgame and you go through everything that we went through together, you expect to just need to practice counting. And you might count and you might say, okay, I play a 6 points move, my opponent plays a 6 points move, and we just keep doing this. Yeah, and that's actually the trick, because once black misses to play G, then he has no chance to play it again. This is an ultimate center for white. If black doesn't answer, he will die with all his stones. So white gets that, and now all the points are miai. Okay, we have I will put this one and this one were both 6 points, and then these two were 5 points, these two were 2 points. Yeah, so actually this is also, maybe it can be a part of the third golden rule that I was mentioning before. Always try to be sharp. Try to not look only at the obvious, right? That's how to basically get a big advantage in endgame. I even remember when I was playing, sometimes in the league games in Asia, my opponent was not there for some reason, and so the professional teacher had to play against me, and I swear that in all the games I was more than 10 points ahead until pretty late endgame. Well, not very late, but also not early. And I always ended up losing by 5 or 6 points. It was quite amazing to me. It's all about being sharp and solving Tesuji problems. Endgame Tesuji problems. Which is what we will do now. Okay, so actually I have some examples. And okay, now I'm really gonna back off a bit, and I want you guys to also participate. So let's find the best moves. Okay, let's have a complete endgame training session, and after we talked about counting points and value of moves and solving some counting endgame problems, let's find some Tesuji moves. So feel free to suggest some moves in the chat, and I will do something useful in the meantime. I will search for some endgame books that I really liked, so I will share them with you. There is a great collection, a great Korean collection. Unfortunately, its name is in Korean. So I do not know how to. I don't think it was translated, because it's that type of book that just has 1,000 problems listed with no comments whatsoever, not even solutions. Yeah, but it's quite fun. Actually, I already mentioned, right, 2 of them. So it was the Get Strong at Endgame and the one where I found the definition of what endgame is, and that was The Endgame, right, by Tomoko Ogawa. It's also a nice book. Aha, right, I forgot to mention, it is White's turn, of course. It is White's turn. Yes, no captures. Okay, someone asked if there's no captures and 6.5 komi. Maybe the points are relevant in this case. I'm not sure, but I think they are not. Yeah, no, they are not. White has more points than black, but it's just about finding the Tesuji. So now we switched a little bit from counting points to, yeah, just looking at what's the best local move. Yes, also for black the problem is simple enough, right? Only white has a Tesuji to play. And actually, after this, I will also show a case scenario when this appears in an actual game. Because the first time I saw this Tesuji was not in some endgame collection, but rather in my own game. Yeah, it appears after a couple of Josekis, in fact. Yeah, of course, Rational Endgame. Rational Endgame is a very good book as well. Yes. My mistake. Yeah, I actually went through these 3 books, but somehow I was never patient enough to finish. I always stopped somewhere in the middle. And that's why actually I also really like this Korean book I was talking about, because I feel like the point is to do exercises. Like it's like doing math problems. You have to do it again and again until you get some sort of a reflex. Yeah. Wow, I see now that there's 25, 26 people. I didn't know that there's actually a lot of public. Well, it is my first stream, so for me, even if there would have been 10 people, I would have thought, wow, 10 people. But yeah, I'm happy. Welcome everyone who joins, and feel free to also find the Tesuji. Someone said A6. Okay, so let's see. If I have to switch the turn. If white plays X, this is the first instinct that we have, right? So we can actually start talking about it. If black answers, white can only squeeze now, and black will end up capturing the 3 white stones. So white could think, okay, this is good enough. I managed to squeeze black. It is definitely better than just playing Hane, right? If white would have just played Hane, then black could have even just made the eye and make more points. There is no squeeze. So let's count the points a little bit after this. How many points does black make? He makes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? The captures. Now let's see if white would have played here. Black would have made already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right, so it's actually already a 2 points difference. It's quite big, and white can find something even better than 6 points. White can make black have only 4 points, I guess. Yes. So it's actually double, like black gets 2 times less points than if white just Hanes at A3. So actually, even such a simple situation can bring 4 points. It's quite amazing. Not even to consider the fact that the 19 by 19 is how much bigger? 4 times bigger. A5. Okay, someone pointed A5. Who was that? P is irrational. Pi is rational. Okay, this move. Yeah, this is the Tesuji here. Basically, black finds himself in a lack of liberty, so he cannot really try to capture that stone anymore, or else he will get captured himself. So here, also playing this is not the best idea, because then will cut us. White will cut us, I mean. And so the only thing that is left for us to do is to just connect. Right, we still have 3 liberties, white has only 2, we are still winning the capturing race. But then white will squeeze in a much more efficient shape. Yes, and now I also promised I will show how this looks like in an actual joseki. So, okay, I'm gonna try to treat this as a... Can I? Do I have enough space? As a 19 by 19 board. Let's see. Yeah, I actually can do it, right? You might have seen this joseki before, so just to show again, it comes from comes from a komoku, and then white approaches it, and black plays this old-fashioned move. This move we don't really see anymore, right, on a 19 by 19 board. So the Joseki was one of the Josekis was going like this. And later on, if black didn't play this one, which often didn't happen, and white got to turn at age 8, right? And when white turns at age 8, then there is, well, this is actually just better style, right? It is probably pretty similar if we play here. But it is not. At the same time, it is not, because black might make a ko, black can also tenuki, right? This move is also not tenukiable, because then white will in fact capture us. Yeah, so it is a very nice shape point that is very cool to remember. And yeah, it gives these sente moves for sure, usually in endgame, if white gets to play j6. Yeah, pretty similar to this other example. Very well, let's see another one. This one is pretty simple, and now you can also count the points. Black should win by half a point, and white is with 6.5 komi. This is normal Japanese rules. Actually, I have a question for the public. Do you feel like you learn these shapes, all kind of tricks, like okay, let's also see what's the move here. So the move here should not be just capturing. I guess that's the only trick. Black shouldn't capture here or here, because then white can just atari. There is this move that puts white in a damezumari, so white will not get to do anything, and black has all of a sudden 2 extra points. So it's actually quite an important move. And I was just wondering, do you feel like you get to learn these type of kosumi shapes or little shape, I will not call them tricks, but yeah, where do you get your shape knowledge from? Is it rather from problems, from tsumegos, or from your own games? Problems. Someone said problems. Mm-hmm. Okay, someone says reviews. Yeah, okay. Yeah, reviews because you have your own games, right? And you are directly shown on a clear example what you could have done better. Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's very interesting. Actually, I was a pretty bad Tsumego solver. I think among other young players when I was, let's say, 15 or something like that, I think I was one of the worst at endgame and at Tsumego. I was highly strategical, I was trying to get points, I was trying to avoid fights at all costs. And the knowledge, it was not actually that I didn't like to solve problems, but it was that I didn't have a teacher for a very long time, or not a strong one at least, right? Not one that would encourage me to solve problems. So naturally I didn't, and I think until I got to To Resign, most of my knowledge was from my own games. Yeah, and I was actually expecting maybe 1 or 2 people to also say from their own games. But yeah, it's very good if you get it from actually solving problems. Yeah, my point in the end was that good shapes, like good shape examples that you learn from your own games, appear every once in a while. Whereas from a book, in one day you can solve 100 of them and you will remember much more. So yeah, the efficiency is very different. I definitely encourage you for endgame and for shapes. Yeah, solve as much as you can. I should also do that as a matter of fact. So let's see. This is quite tricky. It's white's turn again. Yeah, sorry I didn't mention. white's turn again. And I remember this problem being quite tricky for players up to one dan. They somehow couldn't really see, without placing the stones on the board, why this move works. But yeah, it's a pretty basic Tesuji actually. I was afraid for a moment that I made a mistake and that white can cut here. It doesn't work. Black cannot attack. Thank God. Someone is saying that for him it's from games that he's getting the shape knowledge, and that they're really bad at resigning. I actually wonder, can you be bad at resigning? I mean, it's your right to not resign, right? It's actually Jeff. I remember, wow, this is a very nice memory. When I was at the Congress in Sibiu or in Oberhof, very long time ago. I was very young. I was like 14 or so. I met Jeff at one of those tournaments, and Jeff, as always, had his coach spirit, and I was looking at some of his reviews and advices for other students. And at some point, this topic appeared about when to resign, and he made a very nice comparison. I still remember it up to this day. He said, so imagine you are in a tunnel, right? And you see the light at the end of the tunnel. As long as you see the light at the end of the tunnel, you don't resign. Now, let's say that light gets very small, but you still almost see it. Still, you don't resign. Now, if that light disappears, but you can imagine that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, still, you have all the rights in the world to keep playing and not resign. You only should resign when you cannot imagine a light at the end of the tunnel anymore. And I felt this really a lot in my games. Yeah, it's useless to play it when nothing can happen anymore, when you're just too frustrated to resign. Only then I think I can really say that someone is bad at resigning. It's more like being bad at accepting a loss of a game, right? Other than that, yeah, keep trying. Keep going for it. I also think it's a very nice analogy. Yeah, Jeff is amazing with these comparisons. So yeah, let's see about this. Sounds like Jeff, yeah. So what about the left side? Any ideas? A5 seems to get some squeeze. A5. So if we play A5, you're talking about this type of squeeze, right? Interesting. Oh, sorry. Yeah, this is already actually a good move, but surprisingly not the best. I think I also thought about this first time when I saw this endgame, and yeah, it is almost correct. Right? The problem is that white loses this point at A2, and white really doesn't want that. Yeah, in center actually that. Oh wait, actually that's the main part. Not that white loses this point, but that black has center now and gets to play somewhere else. So our point here should be how to get center. A4 is also tricky. Yeah, A4 here does the trick. And so black cannot play here, right? It's a direct Tamezumari. Black is now dying all of a sudden. So black has to protect from the inside. And no matter how black protects, white will get the point at A2 in center, right? If black protects like this, okay, it works, and black attaries directly, it's very much the same. And then white can get to play the last two big endgames. Actually, in this example as well, white wins by half a point. Yeah, I made a few of them in such a way that this happens. And okay, another very common endgame Tesuji. I was actually imagining one day if I could make a problem that in which how to say yeah, in which, well, okay, let's first solve it. Otherwise I will spoil the Tesuji. Who to play? Yeah, again, my mistake. White. I think actually in most of these examples, white is to play. Yes. Yeah, B1 is here the nice Tesuji. So black can Atari, but then again a Damezumari shape appears and black cannot do anything, so he will have to defend. Then white gets to capture the 2 stones, and that's that. And what I wanted to say, maybe if Antti is watching, I was dreaming one evening to make a problem in which the move is, so in which black has some stones in the corner that have to live somewhere here, and the move that kills is C1, so that, yeah, I guess this is only possible if when white hanes there's the problem of a ko, right? Or like this is sente, and if we want to avoid a ko as white, yeah, that's, I think, interesting. Anti here. Maybe you even know such a problem. I can very well imagine such a problem exists, in which black has a shape in the corner and white kills with this type of move. Right, and now we play some vital point. Or else if black plays, I don't know, here, then we can, well, actually probably it's not even possible because hane doesn't work. Okay, anyways, that's not so relevant. So let's go on. I have a couple of more examples and then the grand finale of the endgame session. So yeah, this is a pretty basic one. How does black answer now to protect his bottom left? Yeah. Yeah, maybe I'm looking for a monkey jump. That's true. Yeah, B2 seems to be the move here. And it seems to be working too. I guess white cannot do anything. Can he? Yeah, it looks pretty clean. Even if white tries to do some trick, it will not work. But white can see too. Actually, yeah, this is a mistake. Yeah, so actually this problem, this is one of the few problems that I actually took from the book. So I think it might also be wrong in the book. Usually I try to adjust and to just get some Tesuji here and there. But yeah. Or maybe there is another move that I didn't see. What about... No, nothing should be working here. Yeah, so we should just go one level more to the right. Right, so the problem should look like this. And then black can play this one. Oh, sorry. Now it looks to be working. And the last endgame, actually this one is one of my favorites. It appears very often in my games, somehow. I think I've had this happening to me at least 20 times on online games. So I am white, right? And I get to play a move here that gives me some endgame. Much better than just pushing at d2. And that is d1, yeah. Marcel knew it immediately. So let me switch. Yeah. Also quite important to have some quadrats to back this off. Or no, I mean to back this out, right? That's what I'm trying to say, yeah. And yeah, so this should not be possible. And in this case, actually, white has quite some quadrats. I think black cannot play this go. Yeah, and black even has one more, but I think white. But yeah, also black has a quadrat. It's actually quite important. Black can cut here. It is maybe not that easy, or it's just. Does this also not work? I mean, I think it works. I think white doesn't answer the one inside. Which one is not a quadrat? Actually, wait a second. The one, the h7 is not a quadrat. That is also a good point. So yeah, exactly what my point was. You should be very careful about the quadrats. Otherwise, it might not end up as you wanted. Well, I should have maybe checked these quadrats more thoroughly. And let's see, one last example, or this was it. Okay, this was it with the examples. Okay, going back now a little bit to an example that I liked. So, okay, let's say it like this. I will make some funny shapes. Right, something like this. So, just as we know how big... Wait, we need one more stone, I guess. Or, no, we don't. I think it's like that. Is it? Yes. So, just as we know that the hane on the first line is worth 2 points, I think this is also quite relevant to know the value of such a move, okay? In this case, it looks like a double center move, but very often in the game it's not, right? When we play e2, black maybe doesn't really have to answer, but when we play e2, maybe our opponent has to. So there's also a question, if I saw some game. Or if I know any online resources to practice endgame. Actually, yes, I do. There is Tsumego Hero, which is a website I highly recommend. I'm also training on it sometimes. If you make an account there, you have a lot of collections, and it's a pretty nice system. Also with the lives, you get an amount of mistakes you can do per day. And yeah, as you grow in level, you get more lives, so more chances to make mistakes. And you have collections about anything there. Yeah, also 101 Weiqi. Yeah, it's also a good point. I think nowadays there are several online sources which are pretty reliable. Only a few days ago I was solving the Suji collection, which was very difficult and very nice. I think also there's also different authors for different collections, which also makes it nice. So it's very diverse also. You don't just see similar things over and over again. Yeah, it was... The biggest mistake was 1.1 points in endgame. I guess that's Shinjin So versus Ichiriki. Well, actually, maybe from their perspective of a 1.1 point mistake in endgame is a big mistake. Who knows? Maybe these guys really aim for the best endgame sequence, which probably they also don't manage very often. Yeah, but I have heard some stories that the top professionals can pretty much read the last I don't know, 80 moves or something like that. Very accurate. Very, very accurately. Maybe 80 is too much. Maybe Antti knows more about it. He knows how powerful the top pros are. Yeah, so let's go back to this one. Right, this is the move that black plays if it's his turn. It doesn't matter in this case. And there was also the question, can black play here or not? I think black cannot play there, in fact. Right? If white tries to capture, then there will be some problem. First of all, white can probably play here. And then it might not be that easy, actually. Wow, this is interesting. I tend to believe that the cut works, but let's try it out. Yeah, this looks good for white, right? So it's successful for white, and I don't think black can do anything about it. It's pretty straightforward. Yeah, so black cannot play e3, he has to connect, and in this particular case, this move is worth 8 points, right? We make 4 points and, well, yeah, we make 4 points and we destroy 4 points from black. I'm actually pretty much out of examples, but we are also getting close to an end. We can make a question session. So if you would like me to go through any of the examples again. Oh wait, I got a question. Can black extend to h1 first? h1. You mean in the capturing race? So extend here first. Interesting. Will that help? Let's see. So actually white also has 3 liberties, just like before. I'm not sure if it helps with anything. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think it goes like this, and it's again just one liberty. Black lacks 1 liberty. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Also, this appears sometimes when maybe you can play e3 or maybe you cannot. It happens to me much more often that I play a monkey jump and my opponent cannot block it so easily, right? Because sometimes, okay, let's imagine some monkey jump scenario. Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes you can capture the stone actually. Not in this case, of course, but sometimes when you get this shape, you can jump around in the territory and look at the agi. Actually, monkey jumps are quite an interesting part of Endgame. I think it's worth having a lesson only on the topic of monkey jumps. Not a long one, but I think I could definitely cover 20 minutes on different monkey jump case scenarios. Yeah, so once again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Yeah, I can go over what we talked briefly. Maybe you will get some idea. Let's have a small test. How many points does black have in this area? Does anyone remember? So the counting was something like black anyways has half a point no matter what, right? Even if white plays there, then black still has half a point left. And so if black plays here, he can only make 3.5 points. Half a point he already had, so he makes 3.5 more. So if black plays first 4, if white plays first 0.5, so 3.5. No, here black does not have 3.5. You see, it is very similar actually to this case scenario, right? So here, how many points does white have in the A area without anyone playing anything, right? So okay, what you said basically, if I translate what you said, I'm talking right now to Ascorto Kenias 22. So if I translate what you said to this example, is that if white plays, he has 4 points. If black plays, white has 0 points. So white has 4 points there. But it's wrong, right? White has only 2 points. Ah, hi Vincent. Nice to see you. Yeah, so it is basically 2 points that white has there right now. Theoretically, of course, white will never make 2 points there, but that's how we calculate. That's how we make an average, right? We have to count some points. And so in this case, it is similar because black has half a point there, right, already, and can make 3.5 points. So the value of playing there is 3.5, but without playing there, we have half of that. So it's just like before. We have to divide 3.5 in 2, and we get 1.75, right? Yeah, and if we count the total value, right, black already has half a point, plus 1.75, that's 2 points and 1/4 of value, right? And what is 2 points and 1/4, right? Some of you might wonder, how can we have a quarter of a point? Well, basically when we hear 2 points and 1/4, we know we have 2 points, right? And we have basically a 25% chance of getting another point. That's how I would translate it, right? That's also, it makes sense to me because that's also how we treat a ko, right? When we see a ko that we took, that means we have 2/3 of a point. Because if we have a ko that we are right now taking, right? We have it taken on the board, then we need just one more move to close it, to end the ko and have that 1 point. And white needs 2 moves. White needs to capture the ko back and then protect it. That's why white has only 1/3 of that point, and we have 2/3 of that point. Just to not create confusion, I'm basically talking about, let's see, we can make a ko like this, I guess. Right, this type of case. Right, so there in that area, black has 1/3 of a point and white has 2/3. Yeah. There is some question. Yeah, that's actually a very good question. I like to, when I have more time to talk about Endgame and when I do it in more sessions, so not only one, I like to teach my students by differentiating the actual value and the theoretical value, right? Even when we talk about a double gote move, a double sente move. Double sente move, the actual value is just 4 points, right? But the theoretical value, sometimes we treat it as double, right? Or sometimes as we are talking here, black will never make 2 points and 1/4 here, but that's the theoretical value. We have to have it in mind because on a 19 by 19 board, when you have, I don't know, 20 such positions, then you have to be able to make a more or less accurate counting. You have to think, okay, who's gonna get that move? How much does white have here approximately? How much do I have here? And then you can make a much more accurate average than if you just briefly count and say, okay, I get this, he gets that, without thinking a bit deeper. So yeah, but definitely you should keep it in mind when thinking locally. I would say keep the actual value in mind, and when thinking globally, think about this theoretical value, so to say, to make a more accurate estimate. Yeah, so someone said something, 2.25 for the previous question. Yes, that's correct. Yes, and I hope I also answered the question to Echo. Yeah. Also, actually, something that I was advised by one of my students to mention every time I talk about Endgame was to to make it clear that if you talk with another teacher, they might have a different system, in the sense that they might not divide by 2, but they might multiply everything by 2, you know, like an equivalent system, so to say. Just that I'm basically dividing the amount of points by 2 in all cases, and they are multiplying the value of the points by 2 in all cases. So yeah, but as long as you know what system you're using, then you cannot fail. I like to do it like this. I'm not 100% sure, but I think Kim Young Sam was doing it the other way. So we sometimes had some weird contradictions. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, well, in any case, I can sum up the today's session, and I will stay for a few more minutes if you have any other questions. Yeah, today we went through counting the value of moves, right? We also counted territory. We saw some endgame tesujis. And I didn't talk too much about what macro endgame and micro endgame is. But that's also an individual topic. It's like basically macro endgame. I suppose it's about big endgame moves, the early endgame, and it is also, and micro endgame is stuff like, okay, 2 moves have the same value, but we play the one that has more quadrats and such stuff. Yeah, don't forget the golden rules. Maybe I can mention them again. It is basically look for double sente first, then your own sente, then reverse sente, and then the double gote, unless the double gote is worth 30 points. And yeah, try as much as you can to make a brief counting. Doesn't take much time as long as you have a bit of practice. And I have to leave some content for the next time too. Me? Yes. You mean about the macro and micro endgame? Sure. Yes. If anytime I get another chance to talk about endgame, I will definitely also approach that topic. And yeah, it was actually also a nice experience for me. I must say that. So it is, as I said, my first streaming for the NGD, and in general, I streamed only once before, a long time ago. I was doing something for Sinan's web. I forgot how it was called. W Baduk or Explore Baduk. It was called Explore Baduk. Yeah, I think I did one streaming for that long time ago. And yes. Yeah, thank you a lot, everyone. I hope you learned something. Sorry about a couple of technical stuff, but we managed to pull it through. And yes, see you next time, everyone. Goodbye. Have a nice weekend.